never knew. That was his power. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to 3 p.m. Hopefully you heard that, but if you didn't, you're probably thinking, holy crap, this guy has long hair. And I've never made a video with my hair down, but it's getting too long and I'm starting to get headaches, so I'm thinking about chopping it off. So I thought, why not make a video with it down so people could see it and voice their opinion whether or not I should get a haircut. You're probably like, what the hell does that have to do with the opening? Well, whatever. It doesn't have nothing to do with the opening. But, growing up, I always got, like, random haircuts. It was either super long or super short. Never really in between. Only, like, I just grow it out and shaved it off randomly. Like, there was a few years I was doing it every year on Halloween, just, like, once a year. I never really put too much stock or too much of my identity or whatever into how I looked and my hair. It didn't matter to me. It doesn't change your personality. But as I get older, I find myself being more attached to this long hair. Like it's a part of me. Like it's how I identify. And sometimes I feel like, well, people look at it and think hippie or something like that, especially if I have it down. But I never have it down. It's always up. Even sometimes I even fall asleep with it up. It's horrible. You get headaches. You gotta brush it. You gotta clean it. You gotta take care of it. And and then it's heavy, and then it thins out, and you gotta comb hair out, and it's terrible. So on one part of me wants to keep it, another part of me just wants to be done with it, chop it all up, chop it all off, shave my head, rock a hat, or something like that. I didn't mean to rhyme. But another part of me thinks, well, everybody has short hair, and this is your thing, man. This is your uniqueness. How are you going to be unique with short hair just like everybody else? Contradiction. Maybe that's the devil speaking to me. I don't know. To try to relate it back to the intro. But no, the reason I picked that intro is because there's been a movie weighing on my conscious, on my thoughts, whatever they say. It's called The End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And in the movie, the priest says, Satan's greatest trick was convincing man he didn't exist. And so, I've been wanting to watch the movie, but it's not on any of my streaming apps, so I'm not paying $3.99. I'll just wait until it gets on one of them, or maybe eventually break down and pay $3.99. But I've seen it. I've seen it a lot of times, and if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's definitely a good movie. But that quote's been popping in my head, so I was like, all right, I'm going to put that quote in a video. I see everybody putting little movie clips in their videos. And I'm like, all right, try to find it. I couldn't find it. I ended up finding the clip from the beginning, which is from The Usual Suspects, which I may or may not have seen. But it's pretty much word for word the same thing. Besides, he says Satan in The End of Days. But, we see a lot of that. I see a lot of, the devil convincing people that he doesn't exist, whether it's through, like politics, whether it's through hedonism, just whether it's through the universe, believing in other things. I always, and it depends. It's different how you interpret it. So, because you could interpret it as the devil's greatest trick is convincing man that he didn't exist. So, do you interpret it as there's no devil, therefore there's no downfall, or do you interpret it as there's no devil, so there means there's no God? And if you don't believe in the devil, why would you believe in God? And if you don't believe in God, you're not believing in a creator, which is fine. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, but those are the two ways you could look at it, I guess. And I guess a lot of times we make excuses why something might be okay, and a lot of times we don't even. A lot of times it's not even necessarily wrong. It's more of a societal norm, or something that goes against that. And people, society deems it wrong, and then you have people that are initially outcast that break out of that, and then it becomes the norm, And I guess there's no point of that, but we got to watch where you go with that. What becomes the norm? We got people trying to normalize pretty bad behavior, and I guess that's how it happens. I would think that's how it happens, and so we got to watch out for that. And I don't know. It's like in the other way, if you don't believe in God, it's like, or not God necessarily, a creator of any sorts. It's like I guess you could live your life free and not have to worry about your actions and stuff like that, and maybe get the full experience out of this life. But there's something, to me, there's something about a life of like service and being the best person you could be, and not giving into like temptations of any sorts, really, and like learning grit and strength. And I guess you would have to have a mix. I would like a mix of both, to make any sense of this conversation. I would like a mix of both, because I don't like people telling me what I can and cannot do, especially if it's not harming anybody else. Things that harm somebody else, it's like, that's wrong, and you can't try to convince me that that's not wrong. But anyways, I don't know. I thought the quote was cool, to be honest, so I wanted to throw it in a video. Other news, I see Andrew Tate. Other news. But anyways, Andrew Tate landed in Miami. He was on the PBD podcast. They had like 90,000 people watching it. Some people were upset. I guess he's a United States citizen. I had heard he was born here, raised in UK or something like that. He has every right to come back. He hasn't necessarily broken any laws at all, because he's only been accused, never convicted. But yeah, you can't stop the person from coming back to their home country. And I don't want to get into politics, but I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. He should be able to, until he's proven innocent or guilty, he should be allowed to come back to his home country. Because if not, he's going to go somewhere else. And some people might like that, but he's entitled to come back here. And I think it's pretty fun, to see people get upset, like Ron DeSantis, which, a lot of people like Ron DeSantis. I think he's like a business guy, he's good for Florida in the sense of like, oh yeah, he's inviting to the billionaires. It's like, come on in, we'll take your money, and that's kind of driving out old Florida and people that have been in Florida their whole life because they can't afford it, let alone the house insurance. That's through the roof. I'm starting to find out about that, but yeah, like I said, I wasn't going to get into the politics, but he should have said what he said about, oh, we're going to see if he's broken any laws. Like, if he breaks the law, then go after the guy. But until he breaks the law, like, leave him alone. He spent 3 years in Romania, never went to trial. All this stuff took in. you know, until the man's proven innocent or guilty, like, leave him alone. And it's like, I don't even care for the dude that much, but it's like, if anybody went through that, they would be like falling apart, like, oh, leave me alone, you know. Yeah, dude just wants to come and hang out somewhere other than Romania, and if he's not welcome here, or he gets kicked out, or he gets arrested or something, I guess he won't be able to. But if he doesn't get arrested, he'll probably just, you know, go back to his court date, and then afterwards probably go to somewhere else, like Dubai or somewhere else that's popping. And some people might like that, but anyways, who cares, right? I just thought it was pretty funny. You know, it's like a freaking, it's like watching a show, like a drama show play out with some of these actors, including Trump and Vance and Zelensky, and that whole interview where, yeah, Zelensky was, you know, it's hard to get into because either way people are going to hate you, right? Either way people are going to hate you, but I could see both sides. And but it played out like there was even a belt behind Zelensky. I don't know what that was, but there was a belt. Somebody in the comments commented about the belt, but it was like a WWF or WWE, old school WWE freaking showdown. Like it was like staged or planned. Not it wasn't staged. You know, it was like a reality show. It seemed like a reality show we were watching, and like a family having a dispute. I even seen a meme that was like Biden shaking Zelensky's hand, and it's like asking grandma to go to McDonald's, and then it was like Trump and Vance putting their hands up to him, and it's like asking mom to go to McDonald's. So I don't know. It's like everything's like Joe Rogan says all the time, a few times. All the world is a stage, and I'm sure that's an older quote, but he says it a lot. Anyways, I don't know how I feel about any of these people, whether it's, you know, Trump, Vance, Zelensky, Biden, Andrew Tate, Theo Vaughn. Like, I used to look up to, I used to like, you know, I still, it's not like I have anything against them, but it's like I definitely used to look up to them, and now I don't look up to them, which in some ways it's kind of crappy because listening to different people, some of the people that I've mentioned has helped me get through like hard times. But I had to realize like that, you know, listening over and over wasn't going to do anything. I had to do it myself. So kudos to them for helping that. But I don't want to prop up any person. I said that on my last video. It's like I'm not propping up anybody besides, you know, regular, you know, quote unquote regular people, you know, just like me. Closest person I would think that thinks like I do, last I heard or whatever, last I watched or seen or listened, was like Oliver Anthony, and I've made a couple videos about him, but you know, he just wants to relate to regular people, and he just wants to be, I mean, at the end of the day, these societies or celebrities, they're regular people. We look at them as idols. They're false idols. They're propped up. How easy would it be to fall victim to that, you know, and fall victim to the machine? And, you know, yes, you could circumvent it nowadays. It's the internet's made it easier, and you could do it while still keeping your soul intact. But it's hard, you know, not to have that sway towards what's popular. You know, I watch, or I don't watch, but I see videos my kid watches, and you know, every thumbnail looks the same, and they have 19 million views, and it's, you know, the kid or teenager with a car, or you know, a fancy car, and it's like you know, and every family channel, quote unquote family channel, is all like the same, and you know, these kids acting sometimes, in some cases acting a lot of the time like Ryan. I feel, you know, on one hand, their family has lots and lots of money, and I hope they love them on and off the camera the same way. But you know, what does that do to a kid that spends that amount of hours with? I mean, we've with cameras in their face. We've heard of childhood actors and how they have a hard time. This is different, so who knows? It's all new. It's all new, and it's just hard to tell where that's gonna go. But you know, if they're having a good time, I'm not here to stop it, but there's certain channels that I have problems with. Like a good channel I like to let my kids watch is the Adventure Agents with Patrick South and Sarah South. And another one is the Outdoor Boys with Luke, which he's blown up. You know, he stayed the same, but he's blown up in every video. Is millions of views of him just doing, you know, what regular men did 50 years ago, and now everybody's fascinated with it, and they should be, because not too many people are doing it like he's doing it. And he said that he had to do, when he was doing 2 videos a week, he had to do 60 hours of work pretty much a week to make the videos possible. So that was like more than that was overtime. You know, that was more than a full-time job. That was overtime that he was putting into, and it's sometimes it's hard enough to do 40, but I've done 50, 55 hours a week, and you have no life other than YouTube. So how many of these channels, you know, kids have no life other than YouTube? And you know, I don't know. For some reason, the saying "better the devil you know" just popped into my head than the devil you don't know.
But we make up imaginary ones with pointy horns and pitchforks. In our dreams, we fly like gods. We long to shoot through space. And why is that, huh? Because humans used to fly long ago.
So you sell drugs here, huh?
Imagination enhancers. If you imagine something, it can come into being. Imagine a devil, and he may show up.
Hopefully that worked out. And yeah, you heard what they had to say. Trying to, you know, edit these things and put little scenes in, and hopefully I don't get copyrighted. But yeah, people like to imagine devils, and you know, if you think these things, they might appear. It may not necessarily be a devil with horns, but it could be illnesses, and you know, brought on by stress and cortisol. And I'm not a doctor, so these are just my opinions, you know, allegedly. But yeah, you know, be careful what you imagine. Be careful what you think. You know, you know, your mind's powerful. In my opinion, your mind's a powerful tool, and it could be used for good. You know, obviously, and it could be used for bad. And the same goes for your body. It could be used for good thoughts that help your immune system and body, and it could be used for bad thoughts that, you know, like stress. And it's like the song "Don't Worry, Be Happy." You know, not to get all hippie-ish with my long hair, but you know, you do have to, like, worrying only makes it double, like they say in the song. You just, you know, don't worry, be happy. You know, you can't pay the weed. You can't pay the weed. You can't pay the bills. Just hit the weed. Just hit the weed 3 times and see if you could. You would just be like, man, I don't even know why I care about them light bills. I got 12 candles I've been waiting to burn. All right, I probably. I used to know that word for word, dude. sad. I'm disappointed in myself. But my memory is going, probably because of stress. And I used to know movies word for word. There was a time I knew like almost every Nicolas Cage movie word for word. I could tell you the whole dang movie in words. One time I said I said the whole movie to the whole like script to my sister of a Nicolas Cage movie called Bad Lieutenant, and she looked at me, like I was on drugs, and I wasn't necessarily, but yeah, I should have done something with that. I probably should have gone into acting, because we used to have to memorize poems and word for word, like back in the 4th grade, and and that's where I liked stories, and like I almost wanted to be a writer. Should have become a writer too, but that's where I got into writing and really music, rap. There was but I never did anything with it. But there's a music concert, 5th grade talent show is what it was called, and I was in like the 4th grade or 3rd grade at the time, probably the 4th grade. And there was this, not that it matters, but I just remember this story vividly. There was this girl singing, and she had, like, at the time I was a kid, she had like the most beautiful voice I have ever heard. Had her, like, still probably to this day, but I don't remember what it sounds like or what she said or her name or anything like that, because I wasn't like looking at her like that. It was just, I was in awe. I was in awe of her voice and her talent, and it, like, I just like zoned out listening for the song, and came to like, oh crap, I just been staring at this person. But music could do that to you, and it helps with some of those devils, to bring it back to that. It helps with some of those stresses of life, and that's why I would want to make music. But the instrument, like, I don't know how to play an instrument, and I'm not ready to commit to learning. I do want to learn at some point. That would be awesome, but until then, I'll just listen to other people's music, because there's plenty of it out there. And if I wanted to make music, I could always rap over some beats or something like that. Sing over some beats, instrumentals, or I don't know. I kind of like a cappella, just randomly freestyling during my day at work. But that's when nobody's around, so it's always easier to freestyle at work than it is to do it in front of people. But I don't know. One day, if I'm properly motivated, might make some songs. And if I, the right opportunity falls into my hands, or if I feel the drive to get out there and make music. But I will. It's not like I'm letting anything necessarily stop me, but it's just not a drive. I've been trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and whether I wanted to be a singer, or like a musician, or not a musician, but a singer, rapper, or because I could have went that route when I was younger, but I didn't want to. So if I wanted to, I probably could have. Who knows why I didn't, but there's, other reasons I know why. But, one, I didn't want to be, there was already Eminem. I think I've said this, but who cares? There was already Eminem, and I just didn't want to be stereotyped, for that, and because, yeah, I've always been trying to find myself. So I felt like that was the easy way to get trapped into a stereotype and just run with it. And I think artists, you see that in certain artists, and they're, they fall off because that kind of hits its peak, and nobody cares about that kind of music anymore. Or, that was only a little bit, I don't know the words for it, but I'm sure you guys understand what I'm saying. But if not, oh well. I try my best, but I don't, if you want to, I guess what I'm trying to say, babbling like an idiot, but if you guys want to chase your dreams, don't make excuses. If you want to be a musician, get out there and do it. When you're young, it's like, I tell my kids all the time, you want to be a YouTuber, which, I don't necessarily agree with, but it's more than just watching videos, of how to be something or, about something. If you want to be a doctor, it's like, you got to read, you got to put in the work now. You got to, because there's people your age or whatever putting in the work. And I don't want people to be discouraged, and I'm not discouraged by that myself, because I believe at any age you can become successful if you put in the time and effort. The question is, would you want to? Do you want to? Would you want to spend 10 years, 20 years doing something, at the age of 30 to become a lawyer or a doctor? It's going to be 10 times harder than if you would have done it. But if you wanted to, I believe it's possible. It's just easier if you do it while you're younger. So, but we imagine devils and circumstances that aren't true. And worse than that, we go along with people. We go along with the algorithms, especially nowadays. We go along with, like I said, what's popular, and it's a pool to it's a pull to not want to put fancy thumbnails on my video and do fancy editing and or go out there and do stupid pranks. Some pranks would be fun, and I thought of a couple, but it's just every day I struggle between, what do I want to do to actually, put a message out there and to make it my unique thing, and, just do this. It would be easier, That's what everybody's doing, though. So, and sometimes I fall victim to it and I catch myself, and then other times I'm like, well, you did do your own thing, but it's not that important of a thing, and it's not that funny either, and it's not that interesting, so maybe you shouldn't have done that. So I'm trying to learn to pick and choose what I talk about and, how long I talk about it. I'm trying to get better. I try to not just spill nonsense into the camera like I'm doing now. The point is, I try to bring you something that's going to help you out and not just distract you. I hate being distracted myself just for the sake of passing time. If you're at work, that's why I made this podcast, so people at work could just listen to it and get your mind off something without having to hear the same people, I hate how people have the same guests and stuff like that on their podcast, and they talked about they talk about the news saying the same thing word for word. Well, how about podcasts having the same person on their tour for their movie, podcast for podcast? I mean, it's no different. That's how Trump got elected. So they all in my mind, they all kind of turned into the same thing that they were fighting against. We kind of just, even Mark Zuckerberg said that we, in the future, will just have these social media stars that become the new elite that we propped up. So it's like you picked them, you know. That's the worst part. It's like they've convinced people that they're right, or or they're good, and they might not be good. You know, a lot of people love what's his name? See, I don't even remember his name, but man, he just has a face where you want to punch him in his face, dude. And I'm not even a violent person. I wouldn't walk up to anybody and punch him in the face. I've never thought that about anybody, but man, little short dude, Ben Shapiro, and that dude has a lot of money. He has more money than me. You know, he has this fancy show, but he has a punchable face too. And I hope to God I don't have that much of a punchable face, because God, there's something about him. You know, it's not even like I'm riding with Andrew Tate. You know, I definitely think, you know, I don't even know if I would say that, but yeah, he's definitely cooler than him. You know, but like he doesn't, you know, Tate always says he's handsome. I don't think he's that handsome, but he doesn't have a punchable face. So, Ben Shapiro, I'm sorry, man. You don't know me, and you probably never will see this. So, if you do, though, sorry, you were born with a punchable face, but supposedly you're a warmonger, so if that's the case, screw you. And I'm not propping up anybody. I just had to get that out, because that face is punchable. But, and I'm not a violent person. I'm telling you. I just had to say it, though. Alright, I'm done. I'm going to end the podcast. You know, I got a wife and kids. Kids are probably asleep, but you know, I'm recording this the night before so I could get it out on Wednesday, hopefully around 3 p.m. so people could listen to it around 3 p.m. because I find that I have the hardest time sometimes around 3 p.m. They say that's when, you know, people start crashing. But you know, sometimes I struggle with just like thoughts, you know, negative thoughts, or just getting through the rest of the day. Need a little extra motivation, and I get tired of listening to the same freaking podcast tour, you know. And so this is something different. If you have YouTube Premium or whatever, if you close your YouTube, you could just listen to it at work. That's what I do. For, you know, other people I listen to, I've been listening to a lot of Jordan Peterson, but probably listen to enough of him for right now. I'm just gonna try to find interesting people. And it's funny because since I started doing these videos, my YouTube channel has actually like showed me people doing the similar videos to me. And ever since I started listening to like random music, like barely recognized and known music, YouTube has started to show me people with only like 8,000 followers, or they've had their first song that now has like 100,000 views, and compared to, you know, 400, you know, 200 views they were getting before that one happened to blow up, and that's why I happened to see it. And it's exciting. It's an exciting time for people and creators, you know, the small guys that are, you know, that have talent, you know. If you have talent, you got to get on social media, because unfortunately that's the pathway. But unfortunately, you have that chance to do it if you have talent. And yeah, I better get some talent. But until next time, I hope you guys stay safe, and as always, take care of yourself. It's a crazy world out there.